Hi, and welcome to Conversion Conversations. This is Cameron, and today I'm taking a look at Transformers Generations, Legacy United, Infernac Universe, Armorizer, Magneous. And dang, that is a long name. We do have Magneous, our first Deluxe Class Armorizer. This is this line's equivalent of the Weaponizers, the Modulators, Fossilizers, Junkions. It is the tear apart and rebuild gimmick toy, and I'll say this, I've really enjoyed this gimmick in the past. We'll see if this one lives up to the hype of the previous of those types of toys. He does roll pretty well. He turns into what looks like to be at first I thought it was made of rocks, but it really looks like it's just covered in rocks. Some sort of car. Maybe more of a truck in this mode, at least. I think he looks more like a car. He's got a metal grill. He's got, like, some little paint apps here. These, like, guarded windshields and windows. He does have two types of plastic, and there is some feathered paint, some light paint apps. But it is pretty monotone here. I do like that the wheels are kind of hidden inside rock pieces. That is kind of neat. And like I said, he does look like a car right now. I'd say more than a truck. But if all you have to do is take off this anchor weapon and take off this back piece right here, and then he gets much more truck-like with a truck bed. Unfortunately, there's not like a 5mm peg here, which is a little annoying. A peg or a port would have been nice back here. But the reason you take that off is because you can separate out these pieces, which then can be attached to your anchor like so and like so, and it gets this kind of front catcher pusher mechanism, which this 5mm port in the front. And the nice thing is obviously that this 5mm port can hold other things just fine, which is neat. If you want to combine it here, as if you want to see how they look together, not like the core class figure is not as small as you might expect. But if we do take off this piece, oh, I forgot, this piece is not compatible, which is super annoying. Like, if you wanted, if we had a 5mm port or peg here so that we could, connect and interact with our toy pieces, that would be, look at how cool that would look. We can't do that because this line, these are both armorizers, they don't interact. That is frustrating. Did I play that out for dramatic effect? Maybe a little bit, but it is something that does frustrate me. This is like the thing they show in the instructions. We'll get into how many pieces we can tear them apart into in a little bit, but you can just put these back together. You do want to put this back together before you try and fit it on him, but it does fit on just fine. And other than that, that's kind of all he does in his car mode. To me, it's a little bland compared to Boulder Crash, which I do feel like this should have been Boulder Crash, and this should have been Magneous, because, magma. But Magneous, Boulder Crash has red paint here. Those highlights. This should be, would have been cool. Maybe some lime green, radioactive paint job or something. As is, the paint here is very minimal. And I'm going to talk about this toy's budget and stuff in a little bit, because I do have theories. But the other thing you'll notice is he's got a lot of irregular shapes, but largely not a ton of fine detail. It's large geometric shapes all over him, which we'll again talk about later. But for transformation, it is pretty simple. I'm not even going to put it down. We're going to do this a one-take Jake. We are going to come in and we're going to rotate out the hand from there and the shoulder from there. Again, same thing here. Pull this out. It is tabbed together down at the bottom. You just pull it apart and lift it up. With those out of the way, you can flip out the hands like so. Come in here. The back piece, it's a pretty standard car transformation. You're just going to pull and flip this rear section of the car, flip it out, lock it in the knees, like so. Separate the legs, like so. And you saw that these pieces could come off, but you're just going to bring them down. You don't even need to disconnect them to get the feet where you want them. And then up top, we are going to come in and we are going to fold, keeping our wheels out of the way. They are tabbed in on each side. Same thing on this side. There we go. And we are going to fold in the front of our car, which lets us fold back the grill and get our head out of the way where we want it. And this whole section just collapses, collapse, and then we can get everything locked in nice and tight. And these shoulders are going to click in on both sides. And here is Magneous in his robot mode. And I'll say again, other than looking plain, I do like the design generally. I like things like the wheel chest. That's kind of unique. I do wish it wasn't hollow. You can see like right into it. I like the head. I think that is a really cool head. I wish it had some more color. It's got like 3 colors, the black, this like rocky, and this like, I don't know, purplish rock color, and then the yellow eyes. But I do like the way it looks, the asymmetry of it, but it feels like it's just on a swivel, and then it can nod because of the platform a little bit. I like, these like toe feet. That is neat. But they don't have a lot of articulation. It feels like a fine deluxe. Nothing super special. And this is the reason I wanted to talk about this detailing. The transformation is simple. It doesn't have a lot of paint. And here's my conspiracy theory. If you don't know how metal casting works, how these are essentially 2 large metal dies that they have cut and they push together, and under pressure they force the plastic in, and it gets into the shape they want, and then essentially you got a big like plastic sprue, and you take your special tool and you cut it out and you assemble it using these pins and stuff. These details on here, like the angles of these shapes, are inexpensive to cut into a metal die. So if I'm comparing this to his Wavemate Chase here, these are both deluxes. They sell for the same amount of money. Chase has more colors of plastic. He also has these fine ridge details like this on his feet. He has these fine light details like here. He has, greebled details like these here. Magneous doesn't really have any of that. The closest thing he has are these vents here, and then his like tires. Everything else is these larger geometric shapes. And the reason that matters is because those shapes are literally, it takes less tool passes. If you have, a cutting tool and you're coming in at an angle on the die and you're cutting away material through repeated passes, this takes less passes, therefore less machine time, therefore it's less expensive than the Junkions. The Junkions had more detail than this, and so this feels like it's literally just less toy because it saves. I like, my conspiracy theory is they're doing armorizers because it is a less expensive toy to make than the Junkions, which is a little frustrating because I really like the Junkions. Now, he transforms. We talked about his neck articulation. It's okay. His arm articulation is 360. It can go up that far. It can bend 90 degrees. It does have a ball joint, which gives wrist swivel. He does have waist swivel. He can do a full Van Damme. He can do a deep knee bend because of his transformation. He does have a little bit of toe tilt, not a lot, and he does have knee swivel. So it's like standard articulation. So we talked about, not a lot of paint, standard articulation, very simple transformation. The plastic the quality is fine. He does break apart, so we did see kind of this piece can come off. You can take off this piece and put this piece as a shield. That's kind of neat. You can obviously, hold his weapon. The instructions show, so let's get those pieces off. Let's get this piece off. So you can, these have 5mm pegs that you can plug into something. The waist doesn't go anywhere, but we can get these arms off. The arms themselves have a 5mm peg that can plug in. It can plug in 2 places. So the arms can do that. We have, let's see, the wheels. The front wheels don't do anything, but we do have These back wheel sections can... Oh, come on. Gotta get my nail. There we go. These sections can come off, and they have 2 pegs here. So it's kind of cool that you can like slap extra wheels onto something. We have seen the this section can come off. This section can come off. So we have like all these pieces, and then I don't think any of this does anything. I guess we can kind of convert it back into his maybe I should have put it together before flipping it out. There we go. We can convert it backwards into his vehicle mode ish. So we have like this much of him that really isn't going to attach to much. It's got a 5mm port here, I guess. It's got some ports on the sides. But he breaks down into these pieces. But I don't feel like these pieces build very well. We have like this flat panel. But if you notice, like, there's not a port on here or a peg. Like, what is this supposed to attach to? I know it's got that slot. We have like the arms, which have ports, but they're just arms. I guess they have a port here. But they just feel like arms. It just doesn't feel very buildable. And in fact, in the instructions, if we go, to the end of the instructions, it shows, right, the breakdown. And then it's like, okay, what do you build with it? Well, you can put these arms together and then slap the arms onto the side of Animated Prime, give him the shield and the hammer that we built earlier. And then it like ignores all the rest of him. Or if we look at the back of the box, same thing, all these pieces. And then, okay, we've got an arm as a missile launcher, the hammer, and the shield. This does not spark imagination the same way everything else in the previous lines did. The fossilizers were awesome to combine. The Junkions had whole like combination sets. The weaponizers were really cool in armoring up your guys. The modulators did their base mode thing. This and this guy do not do the same thing for me. And it's a real shame because of how much I liked the Junkions. So to come from them to this is really disappointing. This is like, I feel like I haven't been this harsh to a toy before, but this is not something I'm going to recommend. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to see maybe there's more armorizers that will spark more imagination. But as is, the toy is not equal to the sum of its parts. It's feels like if you want a Transformer that's cool, there's $25 you can spend on better deluxes. If you want something that you can rip apart and add on to stuff, go buy one of the Junkions. That's the better toy. As is, I do not recommend this guy. Both of the armorizers have been pretty disappointing. We'll have to see if the line, the sub-line of the armorizers improves. But as is, don't save your money. It doesn't seem worth it. And that'll be it for today's review. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye!